IndyCar coverage is brought to you by the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Get your tickets in the link in the description and save 20%. And you should definitely support oval racing at Nashville. That promo code DavidLand20 in the description will take you right there and get you that promo code. Also, going to be streaming the race for the members of the DL 500 Club. We'll be watching that along with you guys. So if you want to get in on that, patreon.com/DavidLand around the time the race starts, which is about 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So hope to see you all there. So World Wide Technologies Raceway. Hey, we're here supporting oval racing as well here in St. Louis. Pretty warm day today, a little bit of a breeze. That's been nice, although very, very humid as we've come to expect here. Evening race, okay, that's good, not necessarily night race. More downforce, particularly on the rear of the cars. They're running the full road course elements. So, okay. And, we spoke to many drivers throughout this video, and you'll see and hear from them about strategy, about how the downforce levels and where the downforce levels will go. And also, we had some negativity, and, it was Graham Rahal who was really bringing up a lot of that negativity, both from the fans and the competitors, and with all of this oval racing as it is right now, on the short ovals with the heavier cars. It's going to be difficult. I think most people, as Ed Carpenter said, kind of expect the racing's going to look a lot more similar to how it looked at Iowa. That's not great, but maybe the solution that Scott Dixon proposed yesterday, at the lower turbocharger boost, maybe that's a way to do it. Sounds like that's what they're going to use at Nashville, but they're not going to use it here. But Graham, he's an interesting fella, and he makes some interesting points, and I think you guys should hear what he has to say, speaking in the media scrum after qualifying today.
I wouldn't get your hopes up. But as I urge all of you to be positive about the thing that we're in the midst of, and unfortunately, this isn't like a lot of other sports and things where they can practice behind closed doors. Everything that you see, everything we're experiencing, you guys see it and are living it with us. And unfortunately, you're talking about a car that has a lot more mass. You're talking about a car that's got a different, engine unit with the hybrid, and that can't be understated. The hybrid, the way that it works, it pulls away power from the engine, but it adds it back through the electrification. But on a track like this, you don't get as much of the bump from the electrification as maybe a really slow corner at a road course. So, and for Firestone, there's a lot of things to go through that can't be understated. So while I know everybody's frustrated with what they're seeing right now, my hopes are with time, we're going to get there. The downside of this is you're going to get this show 4 out of the next 5 races, and that's a bummer. But hopefully magic can strike and it'll be all right.
So just a few thoughts on Graham in particular. I get where he's coming from, but it is disappointing to hear more and more drivers start to kind of inch up on that, negativity towards the oval racing. And not that they don't like to do it, obviously. It's just the fact that, we kind of know what the package is right now, and we know kind of what it's going to look like, and it's probably not going to change much in between now and then. Scott Dixon did make a suggestion in yesterday's video to reduce the turbocharger boost a little bit, try to lengthen the straightaways or lengthen the effect of the straightaways. Maybe that would work. It sounds like they might use that package at Nashville. So, hey, code DavidLand20 in the description. But I don't know. Certainly, I think everybody's going to have their thought process on not only what Graham said, but also just about the oval racing in general. So, should be a good discussion in the comments. David Malukas, with the grid penalties to the other competitors, will be starting on the outside of the front row next to Scott McLaughlin. They've had some history at this racetrack, so it should be quite interesting to see them battling it out into turn number 1. And here's what we had to say with David after qualifying. Did you trim much from practice?
Well, we trimmed actually a lot in practice because I wanted to, I wanted to find out what the limit was, find out the extreme, so I don't go into qualifying kind of being a bit clueless and being like, we're going to trim now, we'll see how it goes. So we went really extreme in practice. That's why we had all those big moments. But then we knew, where the limit is and took a few steps back. So I felt very comfortable out there.
Any gauge on what traffic's going to be like?
No, I mean, I wasn't here during the test, and hearing what the drivers are saying, they think it's going to be single file. Hopefully, we can have a car that won't be, and we can be better than the rest. But we'll have to see and see how it goes.
So another big story, obviously, coming through the Olympic break was the Juncos Hollinger team and the fact that Agustin Canapino out. Connor Daly will finish the season, and we spoke to Connor and his teammate Romain Grosjean after qualifying.
Nothing more than what we ran in practice. So our teammate trimmed more in practice, bad. So I think there's definitely a limit, but with the teams that have supreme mechanical grip, who knows what they can do. I mean, I'm very, very excited to see the Penske's get out here because obviously they're going to be very good, and I think honestly, Malukas is super good here, and we know that. So he's going to be great to see, and I think Colton Herta, it's going to be hard to beat him.
What was traffic like?
Oh, I don't really know yet. I mean, it wasn't as kind of crazy as I thought. It didn't take a bunch of air off the car. And my teammate, Grosjean, was like, I think we can run the High Line. So that was encouraging.
I may be one of the dreamer, but I'm hoping the High Line will work.
And you heard Connor Daly talking about how fast Colton Herta was. Obviously, that was before Colton stuck it in the wall in time trials. And, it's understandable. You're pushing hard. You're running fast here. You're trying to trim the car out. That's been a discussion all weekend long. How much can you trim off of these cars with the downforce level, which is obviously heavier than they've run here in the past? Well, Colton might have gone a little too far. In fact, the entire Andretti stable might have gone too far because they were all on the same setup. And I got that information from Kyle Kirkwood, who actually was watching with us when Colton backed it into the wall and ended up finishing his run, but will start deep in the field tomorrow. So here's what Kyle had to say about the Andretti setup and the unity of that team, along with their technical alliance in Meyer Shank Racing.
I mean, we're all pretty much very, very similar. I was loose. I was also loose, and I just didn't push it as far as Colton did. I don't think so. I'm never happy with a uncomfortable car. I think Colton can give it the beans a little bit more than I can in those situations. So it's unfortunate to see Colton end up in the wall there. I think that they've been really quick. I thought that they were going to be the ones to fight for the pole, and I thought we were going to be right where we're kind of at right now, which is that top 5 range. So unfortunate to see Colton in the wall, but nonetheless, we came here and tested. We know we've got good cars. We feel like we've built a confident race car as well. So only time will tell.
I guess I should ask, based on the practice, did you guys trim any more than you had run this morning, or was it the same setup you've been testing with and obviously run this morning?
No, I mean, we're bounced around a lot, right, like as you normally would in a practice, right, to try and figure everything out, and then we all kind of came to a similar consensus, which is a good thing when you're in the engineering room and everyone kind of is like, okay, this is what we think, and everyone's like, yeah, we think the same thing. So that was positive, and we rolled into qualifying with that, and it worked out for both David, myself, Ericsson, Felix, and Colton until his second lap. So, we've got good cars.
And obviously, with the difficulties potentially passing tomorrow, strategy racing, that's a big key factor to all of this. Will it be like we saw last year where Scott Dixon was able to win the race by taking the absolute minimum number of pit stops? Possibly, but it sounds like more of a 4 to 5 stop race, which could be interesting, could certainly be a little bit more flat out. Here's what some drivers thought about it.
3 would be really pushing it. Yeah. I think if it's a very green race, that would be pretty much impossible, but if it's a lot of yellows, it might open up, and we don't know exactly how good the fuel save is going to be. I think now with the downforce, actually, you might be able to hang pretty close and still save a lot of fuel. So, a lot of ifs and buts and question marks, but we got to try something different, I think.
Hard to say. I don't know, the second lane practice, hopefully that helps a little for 2 lanes. Otherwise, it'll be similar to what it's been, where you just kind of be a bit of a strategy deal, in and out laps and so on.
Do you think it's possible to do it in 3 stops?
With enough yellow, yeah. I mean, it's actually moved with the heavier car more downforce, close to a 5 stop. Wow. So it's more like most people aiming to do a 4 stop with very big windows. 4 stops tight windows, 5 stop big windows.
That sounds like it'd be good for the racing if
it could be. Yeah, it certainly would be strategy-wise.
a little more flat out. We like that.
Yeah, that's what it needs to be. Yes.
Everyone's talking about the strategy: heavier car, more downforce, less fuel efficient. Sounds like maybe between a 4 and 5 stop race. Is a 3 stop at all realistic in any capacity?
Not without yellows. With yellows, yes.
Yeah.
But without yellows, I think it's like a 4.3 or something miles per gallon and 65 laps on tires, which is nothing crazy on tires, but I think on fuel it's pretty slow. If everybody at the beginning starts doing it at the front, maybe, but hopefully not, because that would be super boring. Because once somebody starts doing it, everybody just follows, because you cannot pass. So.
Well, and you were kind of the victim of that at Iowa Speedway. You know, can you kind of learn something from what Will Power did at Iowa to you and kind of leapfrog everybody and go out front and win this thing?
Yeah, I think everybody's looking at that, right? So maybe we need to do the opposite. So we will see. I think we have a good car. It's not the fastest on qualifying, but hopefully we have good balance in the race and then see where we are. Like, I don't know what the tire deck is going to be. I think that this morning, it was a lot higher than everybody expected from the test, which is good. It's perfect. That's what we need. So it'll be tough to do less stops than everybody else. And I don't know if we lose much time by saving a bunch of fuel or not. So, yeah.
The short ovals haven't exactly been your strong suit here, but, you know, from a championship perspective, you kind of figured it out at Iowa. What's kind of your thought process in these next 5 races to maximize points?
Try and win. I mean, it's
That's easy.
yeah, that's what we have to do. We need to try and win. It's still a lot of points to play. Like, we cannot say, oh, let's get a couple of top 10s, top 5s. Like, that doesn't work. We need to win. I want to win, and that's what we'll try tomorrow. We're going to play it hard, and that's how we got here. So it makes no sense to change our game now.
And so here's my thoughts on this particular race. I mean, I think it's going to be very much a strategy race. The drivers have made that abundantly clear. I think you almost want this race to go green rather than have a lot of yellows. Maybe the restarts will be exciting. That's something that Felix Rosenqvist especially has kind of said, yeah, I think you can make the outside work for a few laps at least. So that maybe you want restarts. I would probably say you don't if you want a pure race, because, you know, kind of as I was talking about with Will Power, more pit stops you have in the race, the less incentive you'll have to save fuel, especially if the windows kind of work out in a way where fuel saving really isn't necessarily beneficial. Although I'm a little bit worried, because passing is going to be so much at a premium that everyone's going to fuel save anyway. And, you know, it's going to be difficult to actually find a way to not have this be a procession tomorrow, which is a disappointment, because there's always such great fans here at St. Louis, and, you know, the track does a great job of promoting this event. So we'll see. I mean, fingers crossed. Stranger things have happened. I think David Malukas starting on the outside of the front row is very tasty from the perspective of maybe we get a different winner out of this thing. He's been knocking on the door for a while, and of course Scott McLaughlin's always exciting. A lot of the Andretti cars starting up at the front, and some of the Ganassis and Andrettis are going to have to come from the back. So maybe we'll see a little bit more excitement. Hey, maybe Will Power will win. I don't know. That's why he's coming in the background. But thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to watch along with me tomorrow, as if you're a member of the DL500 Club, and the race review will be out on Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.